Ancient mystery, the shocking discovery of a strange tomb with 225 priceless treasures. Welcome back to Mystery Seekers, where every mystery leads us to an unimaginable discovery. Today, we will embark on a journey full of surprises and suspense to decode the mysteries hidden in the heart of history. From forgotten ancient tombs to priceless relics, the story you are about to hear will make you ponder the secrets of the ancient world. Fasten your seatbelts, because this journey will bring you more excitement than ever. Let's explore. This is the biggest simplification in the history of Chinese archaeology. In a pit abandoned by tomb robbers, and only the size of a toilet, 225 national treasure cultural relics were excavated at once. Each relic is priceless and rare. One of the predictions about the golden box stunned the experts present, with an estimated value of up to several billion VN. So the question is, how could such a shabby tomb contain such luxurious funeral objects? What secrets does the tomb owner have? The time was 1992. The location was Yimen Village, Baoji City, Anxi Province. In May of this year, a group of migrant workers were busy at the construction site when a forklift suddenly dug up some strange soil. Since Shaanxi has been a place where royal tombs have been concentrated since ancient times, it was not good for an experienced person in charge to only open the first door. There was a tomb below. In 15 minutes, archaeologists arrived at the site. After exploring, they found that the soil layer came from a mathematical tomb. This was a common burial method in the spring and autumn period. Unfortunately, after measuring the specifications of the tomb, it was really not very interesting. The depth from the bottom to the water surface was no more than 3 meters. It was a typical poor man's tomb, with no research value at all. However, following professional ethics, everyone patiently started digging. After digging, the soil underneath became thicker and looser, with faint traces of displacement. Oh my, it turned out to be a tomb. From the remaining traces, it could be inferred that a group of grave robbers had come here not long ago. Perhaps they were bored with not having water to fish, so they dug up half of the soil and returned it to the field. A shovel, no shovel left. Suddenly a dazzling light shot out. This piece, half of the saddle was exposed in the soil, the whole body shining. It was actually made of pure gold. In an instant, the crowd became excited, speeding up their hands. As the soil was peeled off bit by bit, the essence of jade and horses continuously appeared, with hundreds of pieces stacked on top of each other. Its surface was not only inlaid with precious stones, but also carved with exquisite patterns. At first glance, it was not something that ordinary people would dare to cross. Just as everyone was stunned, an exclamation rang out. "Look! What is this?" A sword that was more than 30 centimeters long appeared before everyone. Hollowed out, now loosened. The true identity of the owner immediately aroused the curiosity of experts. That afternoon, hundreds of funerary objects were collectively packed and transported to the research institute, including all aspects such as horses, weapons, decorations, etc. The essence alone weighed 1,000 kilograms. Among them, the most surprising were the strangely shaped and beautifully decorated pocket buttons, duck hands, mandarin ducks, painted tongues, all of which were valuable and rare. There would also be cloud patterns on the surface, and gems and jewelry were attached to the back. Together with the excavated golden sword, you can imagine how skillful and highly spiritual the owner was at that time. However, just as the excavation was proceeding in an orderly manner, the researchers were horrified to discover that there was no trace of bronze found in the tomb. And even the top part that symbolized the status of the nobility had disappeared. Obviously, this was not in line with common sense, because according to the rules of the spring and autumn period, the person who could sit on such a luxurious relic must have been a famous figure in his lifetime, and he was not. It was even ruled out that he was a prince or a general. In order to find out the identity of the tomb owner, the staff dug 3 meters into the entire tomb. As a result, not to mention the steel, Not even the body was found. Only the coffins and head boxes remained, which had rotted and collapsed due to age, and had lost their research value. For a time, the archaeological work was at a standstill. At this moment, a bold voice came from the crowd. Could it be that this is not a tomb at all, but a temporary treasure cave, dug by chance by grave robbers? As soon as these words were said, the experts present couldn't help but look at each other. Could it be that the Feng Shui model has really changed? And this time it's our turn to stop the grave robbers? If that was really the case, Captain Gold's initial guess would have completely destroyed this place by now. However, after months of research, the experts finally overturned the hypothesis about the treasure cave because through examining historical documents, it was very likely that the owner of this tomb was Hu Zizhen, the younger brother of Qin Jinggong. According to historical records, in the early years, he was greatly loved by his mother. Even his elder brother Jinggong, the head of the country, had to share power and glory with him. However, the good times did not last long. In 541 BC, someone unexpectedly reported to the court that Hu Zizhen, the son of Qin, intended to lead an army to rebel. When the news was heard, the situation became chaotic. Knowing that Sin was a ruthless enemy, the Wang family did not have time to explain to their brother, so they hurriedly led their servants to escape at night. They fled all the way to Jin. Because they were so rich, they loaded a cart full of gold and silver, the number of which was thousands. Even Pingong, the king of Jin at that time, was so greedy that he almost drooled after seeing them. In the following days, the Prince of Qin lived in Jin. It was not until 537 BC, after the death of Jinggong, that he began his journey back to his homeland. Of course, because Deng Tao was suspected of being a rebel, his official position and status had long been abolished, so there was this shabby tomb with amazing burial objects. Some researchers were skeptical about this. After all, there was no direct evidence such as stele inscriptions found in the tomb. Linking it to Hu Zizhen based on the burial site in the spring and autumn period was a bit subjective. Compared to this amnesiac prince and noble, archaeologists were more inclined. Zerong said that among these burial objects, many were clearly in the style of grasslands, gold, jade, jewelry, and majestic weapons. And this cannot help but remind everyone that during the reign of Duke Mu of Qin, with the help of famous officials such as Bailey Shi and Jian Shu, the power of the Qin state was consolidated. Finally, when the 12 Zerong kingdoms, a serious threat, were suppressed to ensure lasting peace and order, their nobles and leaders were taken hostage and imprisoned in the Qin state. Fine wine and delicacies on weekdays. Because they had lost their power, they could only eat and wait for death. Of course, as a king who had subdued his country 100 years later, he was not qualified to be buried with the bronze tripod. Living happily underground with only a piece of jade was already a wonderful sight at first. Today, these 225 treasures have been placed in their proper places in the museum. Whenever you stop in front of them, you will always be deeply impressed by the exquisite skills of your ancestors. As for the exact surname of the tomb owner, we have to wait for further archaeological evidence. But one thing is certain, he must have been a poet, otherwise, he would never have agreed to be buried in such an obscure tomb. What do you think about this? You can leave a message in the comments, and we will see you in the next issue. And don't forget to support me by subscribing to the channel. Each of your subscriptions is a great motivation for me. Thank you.